All right. Aloha and welcome everybody to the inaugural NSIN Propel Hawaii Demo Day. Thank you all for coming. I know many of you flew in from far away, and a lot of you are local here. So it's really great to have the Hawaii community here. And let me just say that this day would not have been possible without the help of the local Hawaii community. Every person, when I've asked for help, has said, no problem, absolutely, never a question of helping. So that happened yesterday when I showed up with a very small car to pick up 14 very large computer monitors, and Gloria Chu from NSIN Hawaii was there for the rescue. So thank you, Gloria. So this is our third year of running NSIN Propel, and each year we get more and more DoD partners and participants, and the program just gets bigger and better every year. And an organic network has really grown out of what we have built with the NSIN Propel accelerator programs, whether it's in New York or Boston or our first one here in Hawaii. And before we get started, I also just want to give a big thank you to our partners at HTDC who offered up this space for us and who have been extremely helpful in all of the planning. Our partners at University of Hawaii from the Applied Research Laboratory and from the Office of Innovation and Commercialization for providing their insights on the innovation ecosystem that is here, and also for donating some of the equipment that you see around you. A big thank you to Paycom, who was very generous to let our cohort participate in the post-conference. Big thank you to NSIN and the Tech Bridge for being super connectors for this cohort. And most importantly, a big thank you to our primary DoD mission partner, PAC Fleet, who spent a lot of time offering their technical expertise and use cases for this cohort. So I'd like to get started and first invite Jesse Geip up to the stage. Jesse Geip is the PAC South Regional Director and Acting Director of National Operations at NSIN. So Jesse, welcome.
Thank you, Ryan, and thank you all for being here today. And of course, thank you to the companies who've dedicated so much time over the last 3 months to be a part of this cohort. Really, this is why NSIN exists. The National Security Innovation Network, and I don't know if I can see my slides. Are the slides up? Cool. NSIN, the National Security Innovation Network, is part of the Defense Innovation Unit, DIU, which now reports to the Secretary of Defense. And really, our organization was established to facilitate better connections between academic institutions and early-stage startups to national security problems. There's incredible talent all across our country in some of our best academic institutions with early-stage startups, but oftentimes they're disconnected from our national security problem sets. In the national security community, we're not necessarily always communicating, broadly speaking, what our issues are. And there's a disconnect sometimes between those who have capabilities that might help us solve our problems and those problems. And so NSIN was really designed as an organization that would go out, build those better pathways to connect those with great capabilities and talents to those who need that within the DoD. NSIN has a regional model, so we have folks distributed all across the country, really to facilitate local understanding of both military partner issues all across the United States, but also to have a really close, intimate understanding of what are the great tech startups in Los Angeles, in North Carolina, in Colorado, in Seattle, in Washington, all across the United States, because really you can't understand a community if you're not actually present in them. And NSIN has invested heavily in having a distributed team that allows us to have that local knowledge. And one key program that we're excited to be launching this year is the Mission Acceleration Centers. So this is a concept that Congress has heavily funded for this year to really establish physical locations across the United States that will act as convening assets to bring different DoD partners together into one physical location so that partners across the community can have a front door to come to when they're looking to partner with the Department of Defense, help us increase our coordination on key projects, but also to drive faster tech adoption to the military. So wait for announcement TBD here, but there will be a launching a Hawaii MAC later this year, and I certainly hope that many of you will be involved in that effort because I think it's actually going to be an important asset to the Hawaii ecosystem moving forward. Very quickly, NSIN, the way we support our companies and support the community is really through these kind of three primary efforts: our network, our programs which we deploy like Propel, and then we have an internal transition team who are sort of consultants who are working directly with companies to advise them on how to navigate with the DoD past their involvement in a particular program. So for all the companies who are here today, know that NSIN's involvement with you doesn't end with this cohort. We certainly intend on working with you well beyond the conclusion of this particular program. So the Propel program, just a couple of key highlights. Ryan's going to talk more about it, but this is one of our more robust programs, and Decisive Point has been a great partner to NSIN in the last couple of years. We've had 163 companies come through the program. Those companies have won over 129 different contracts for $103 million in DoD funding, and they've also raised more than $250 million in private capital. We know that dual-use defense tech startups have a better longevity, they're more sustainable, and they frankly have a higher likelihood of surviving the multiple different valleys that the DoD presents to them before their technology can get adopted. And so we really try to run programs that help companies not only get government contracts, but also support them in raising private capital from trusted sources. So just really quickly, and I'll wrap up on this, but the transition cell is a great asset for really any company in here, but these are consultants that we've built inside of our organizations to help facilitate your access to the government, whether you're looking for SBIRs or you're working for your first BAA or you're trying to find new partners. This is part of our organization that has really been built to make sure that companies actually find not just their first contract, but their follow-on contract, and then hopefully get to a place of sustainability so that your capability can be enduring with us. And this is certainly going to be an asset to, I think, many of the companies who are here today moving forward. So I'll just end with a broad thank you, both to the companies, to our military partners who are here. There are a variety of complex challenges that we face today in our country and around the world, and we need capability, not when commercial companies are just, 20, 30 years into their maturity and they can hire a government affairs team to come back and work with us. We want to be working with early stage startups early in their career, giving them funding and feedback on the military problems that we need them on. So thank you all for who are participating here. I hope you enjoy the demos later today and get a chance to network with all the great companies that we have here today. And to our military partners who are in the room, if we're not working with you now, please contact me. We want to make sure that we're supporting your problems. And then with that, I think I'd like to introduce a brief message from Congressman Ed Case from the Congressional 1st District. And with that, I will...
Aloha, and mahalo for the opportunity to help kick off the National Security Innovation Network's Propel Hawaii event. First of all, I want to congratulate the cohort of startups on your competitive selection from over 200 applicants. Your selection alone is an impressive accomplishment. And second, mahalo to all of you for stepping up and rising to the occasion to help solve these real-world problems. Problems that, if not solved, will have real national security implications. Your technology and novel solutions can potentially shape the future of our national security landscape. Programs like this are the force multiplier we need in the race against our pacing challenges in the Indo-Pacific. The unique nature of this program with its cohort-based structure offers its own set of advantages. The opportunity to collaborate and network with other startups and leverage the diverse expertise of private investors and commercial partners creates an environment curated for success and innovation. Throughout this program, you will also have had the opportunity to collaborate with Department of Defense mission partners and key stakeholders like Pacific Fleet. This direct engagement has undoubtedly provided you with a deeper understanding of the problems faced by the warfighter, allowing you to tailor your solutions to meet their specific needs. The guidance and support that the National Security Innovation Network Propel Hawaii Accelerator provides throughout this program and beyond is crucial in reducing the risk that comes with validating proof of concepts in field environments. Their support removes barriers to entry that many talented startups have struggled with in the past. The accelerator concept fostered by this program will help align follow-on procurement opportunities and helps bridge the gap between the commercial market and the unique requirements of our military. By guiding startups through the process of building and piloting technologies designed to meet Department of Defense and commercial market needs, we can foster innovation and create solutions that have a tangible impact on our national security. I have supported this program through my assignment on the U.S. House Appropriations Committee. For FY 2023, for example, my committee provided $79 million, more than 3 times the budget request, because we believe this program can play and is playing an important role in improving our national defense. And as a member now of the Defense Appropriations Subcommittee, which is responsible for the entire defense budget, you can count on my continued support for this and similar programs in fiscal year upcoming 2024. The DoD has a monumental task in front of them, and they need your help and your innovative solutions to be successful at deterring our pacing challenge. The People's Republic of China is the most consequential strategic competitor that we may have ever faced. And the timing of this program could not be more critical given the current global dynamics and the PRC's coercive expansion in the Indo-Pacific. Hawaii is central to these efforts and the perfect place to establish this type of collaboration as a best practice. The strategic positioning of Hawaii, coupled with our concentration of defense assets and military installations, make us a vital hub for military operations, command and control, and collaboration in the Indo-Pacific theater. With the presence of the Pacific Fleet, Indo-PACOM, and numerous other military commands, Hawaii offers unique opportunities for collaboration and innovation. Our large military presence in our state not only provides economic stability for our host state, but also creates opportunities for collaboration and innovation between the defense industry and Hawaiian businesses. It is essential to recognize and harness the immense talent that resides in our Hawaii. The National Security Innovation Network Propel Hawaii Accelerator acts as a catalyst for this symbiotic relationship by connecting startups and entrepreneurs within both the defense sector and the broader business community in Hawaii. This program does, in fact, bridge the gap between these sectors and creates a mutually beneficial ecosystem that drives innovation, economic growth, and strengthens the overall security and resilience of both the region and our nation. By engaging with the vibrant entrepreneurial ecosystem in Hawaii, the defense sector can tap into a diverse range of ideas, technologies, and approaches that have not been uncovered through established defense contractors. This relationship helps both the defense industry and the commercial sector stay at the forefront of technological advancements and maintain its competitive advantage. In closing, I sincerely hope this experience will equip you with the necessary tools to navigate the complexities of the research, development, test, and evaluation process. Understanding the intricacies of navigating government bureaucracy is crucial for successfully implementing your solutions in our rapidly evolving world. Your ability to navigate this landscape efficiently will be critical in ensuring that your technologies are fielded quickly and effectively for maximum benefit in the Indo-Pacific, our military's priority theater. Mahalo, and I look forward to working with you further. Aloha.
All right, I'm motivated after hearing that. So as you heard from the congressman, a little bit about what our program is about. And so my name is Ryan Benitez. I'm a partner at Decisive Point. Decisive Point is a venture capital firm, and we are the partner for the NSIN Propel program. I'm very proud to say that we are veteran-led and a majority women venture capital firm, which is actually quite hard to find these days. So very proud to acknowledge that. We invest in technologies in security, energy, infrastructure, and anything that might touch government. Have a minute, that would be great. A couple of things that he mentioned. There are a couple of nuances to helping the cohort navigate the federal government. And so, as you see here, are 12 companies on the screen, ranging from networks to autonomy, computing, and buoy platforms. We work with them throughout the program to help them navigate whether it's compliance or appropriations or how to have a tech interchange meeting and communicate with an end user in the military. We also teach them about fundraising and everything that they might need to know about export controls and a lot more. Lastly, I'll say that our cohort here had a couple of wins while in program. So, one of our companies, Beamlink, is going to be conducting a pilot in the U.S. Marshall Islands. We've had companies team up and partner together on phase 3 SBIR contracts to bring a better capability together. We've had some first R&D wins with phase 1 SBIRs. And we have a lot of proposals in the hopper for programs like the National Security Innovation Capital, with National Science Foundation, and also with the Rapid Defense Experimentation Reserve, the RADAR program. So a lot of wins have come out of this cohort already, and we're hoping for a lot more to continue to come out as these companies transition to alumni. We had a lot of great events. We kicked off at Post. Companies presented their tech there. It was a great opportunity because all of the 12 companies started to team up and figure out how can we work together to bring our capabilities to bear. They went out for field experimentation with the Honolulu Police Academy and the UH Applied Research Laboratory. And we also had a pitch event where we had stakeholders from Department of Homeland, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, and Special Warfare talk to the companies, bring their challenges, and have really meaningful, informal iteration on, hey, let's solve this problem together. So that was a real add there. And lastly, we just want to talk about how is NSIN Propel different. We accelerate companies not only to market, but also to mission. We start by giving companies, and I think, as you walk around the room and talk to these companies later, a sense of mission and motivation and an understanding as to why it is important to bring their technologies to national security, to solve national security challenges. So we bring a sense of mission. We have great network effects where DoD mission partners are wanting to leverage the various Propel programs across the country. Industry partners and companies as alumni continue to partner together. Experimentation, getting companies out year after year into experimentation events. Maybe year 1, they've got a tabletop demo. Maybe year 2, as an alumni, they cycle back into that experimentation event and do something a little bit further along, whether they're getting their sensor up on a UAS or whatnot. So really leveraging the experimentation environment, leveraging acquisition expertise. We meet companies where they're at in their journey, whether they are brand new and don't know what DoD stands for, or whether they've already won a couple of contracts and they're trying to overcome some of those barriers. And then lastly, access to trusted capital. We de-risk these technologies so that they are more attractive to venture capital for investment to help these companies grow and scale and continue to succeed in the defense market. So next, I would like to introduce Mr. Richard Williams, who is going to deliver a keynote for us. I chose Richard because he has poured his heart into this program. He is from Hawaii. He has had 24 years of government service. He has a son who is a pilot, and so he is very invested in not only Hawaii, but also the innovation and capabilities that need to come to bear for our future. So he serves as the Communications and Information Systems N6 Technical Director for PAC Fleet, and he's responsible for managing the diverse C4I programs at afloat and ashore commands across the Pacific Fleet. He's actively engaged in the research, development, tests, and evaluation of tactical and strategic C4I. for the Department of the Navy. So with that, I would like to welcome Richard to come on down.
Uholo ia kamakalo ala pa. Uholo ia kamakalo ala pua ike aloha la. Kuka ia kahalo ala pavehi mai na lehua. Mai koho o kui a kahala vai ila. Mahalo o e ke akua, mahalo o e na kupuna la e a, mahalo me ke aloha la, mahalo me ke aloha la. The makaloa mat has been unfolded. Food is shared in love. The great breath is exchanged. The lehua honors and adores. From zenith to horizon, gratitude to God, gratitude to our ancestors, gratitude with love. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, aloha avakea. Good day. The Mahalo Oli express my deepest gratitude for your presence here today as we join efforts in academia, private sector, and government, and our military for a common cause, deter war, and protect the security of the United States of America. For all active duty and those who have served in the military, thank you for your bravery, your sacrifices, your valor, and for defending our rights. Thank you for your courage, strength, and dedication to keeping us safe. Your service does not go unnoticed, and we will always be indebted to you and your family for all that you have given to us and to our country. To the selected NSIN cohort here from Propel Hawaii cohort, academia representatives, and venture capitalists, your role in partnering with our military is equally important, and I thank you for your dedicating your efforts in supporting our mission. It's an honor for me to provide some opening comments, and I'd like to thank Ryan for inviting me to speak today. Thank you. Mission. As I was fortunate to speak to this selected cohort back on 17 February 2023, where I shared the United States Navy's top fleet integrated priority list, or FIPL, our top mission areas, and perspectives on maritime communications with resilient, redundant, with the ability to reconstitute command and control. We have worked closely with NSIN, Decisive Point, and the Propel Hawaii team since then, and we really look forward to your demonstrations today. As we know, worldwide political events are continuously changing as we live in consequential times. Competition with our adversaries is high as we remain vigilant against any potential hostilities in our Pacific theater. We're all here because we believe in our duty to provide our military with the best capability to deter conflict, and if necessary, use these capabilities to fight and to win. Technology is increasing at an incredible pace. Our military can no longer rely on traditional military-industrial base to provide us with emerging capabilities, with capacity and at the same pace as technology is progressing. We cannot rely on antiquated procurement process. We must look for creative ways to resource these new capabilities. We must take risks. It is our responsibility, those of us here today, and those others who are like-minded, to take up this challenge. Your contribution, your partnership, your collaboration is essential to ensure the U.S. military maintains its competitive technical advantage over our adversaries. Our FIPL. As I shared with this cohort, our FIPL is a list of requirements that Admiral Paparo, Commander U.S. Pacific Fleet, Admiral Cotto, Commander U.S. Fleet Forces, and Admiral Munch, Commander, U.S. Naval Forces Europe, signed and provides the U.S. Navy requirements across the board. The FIPL is then sent to Admiral Gilday, the Chief of Naval Operations, who is responsible for finding resources and resources to provide so that we could fulfill our FIPL requirements to the Navy. This document is a top-level requirement that helps us direct our focus, channel new research and development projects, or engage with industry to ensure our U.S. Navy fleet remain competitive and prepared for conflict. The top 4 FIPL items are, number 1, counter, command control, communications, computers, cyber, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, and targeting. That's a mouthful. Or we call it as SISRT, or counter C5ISRT. Number 2, persistent targeting, common operational picture, PTCOP. Number 3, long-range maritime fires. And number 4, contested logistics. The FIPL is our North Star, with many naval organizations supporting. For example, the office I work under, Commander Pacific Fleet, N6, we are responsible for C5ISR programs supporting shore and maritime operations, all of which are aligned to the FIPL. It is our PAC Fleet N6's responsibility to ensure maritime platforms communicate effectively for seamless maritime operations. This includes varying communication capabilities from everything within seabed to space for multiple military platforms, all while supporting joint U.S., allied, or coalition operations. Good maritime systems are not only integral to the United States Navy, it is equally important with all of our joint services, allies, and our coalition partners. Identifying interoperable communication systems while providing solutions are extremely important. We must leverage these capabilities that this cohort is developing to ensure that the entire joint allied and coalition forces can leverage them as well. Many allied with coalition partners cherish our same values for free and open Indo-Pacific. Allies like our Five Eyes partners, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and UK. Coalition partners like Germany, France, India, Italy, Korea, Philippines, Singapore, Taiwan, and many more. And you may have noticed some of these countries do not belong in our theater. However, they see value in what we're doing in this theater, and they have equal interest to ensure that what we're doing in this theater affects the global context. Our warfighters need the most current capabilities with capacity. Once we receive these capabilities, we will need to develop concept of employment, concept of operations. Warfighters need to develop standard operating procedures, develop techniques, tactics, and procedures. We need to train with these capabilities and become familiar with them now and before conflict. The more our warfighters train and become proficient in these capabilities, the better our warfighting force will be. But it starts right here, and it starts right now. Our adversaries have studied American involvement in many battles, conflicts, and war. They are preparing to counter our capabilities. They are preparing to defeat us. I know we will not let them defeat us. If you are as competitive as I am, you will do whatever it takes to win. You will do whatever it takes to bring our young men and women home safely. People like Cadet Patch McHale, University of Hawaii Navy ROTC cadet and son of Compact Fleet N39 Captain Kevin McHale. Cadet Josh Preber, Citadel University and son of PAC Fleet N2 Systems Requirements Manager Deborah Preber. U.S. Marine Corps Private First Class John Duffier, son of retired F-18 fighter pilot Commander Jason Duffier. Ensign Sam Paparo Jr., Naval student pilot and son of Commander PAC Fleet Admiral Sam Paparo. Ensign Ty Williams, Naval student pilot, not yet pilot, and son of N6 Technical Director Richard Williams. Lieutenant J.G. Lauren Vernazza, Surface Warfare Officer, USS Macon Island, and daughter of Director of Maritime Information Warfare, Rear Admiral Michael Vernazza. These are the lives that matter. This is why we work as hard as we do. So one question for the cohort. Are you in it to win it? Again, we are excited to learn about the cohort's capabilities that will be demonstrated this afternoon. We are excited for continued opportunities in collaboration and modernization that allow us to work collectively on solutions that will better enable us to execute our diverse military operations and missions. I look forward to working with all of you. We have a shared vision for maritime excellence while removing barriers and building bridges. And I'd like to end with a quote that I shared with the cohort back in February. It is a quote from King Kamehameha that he used to rally and call out to his warriors before battle. Imua e nā pōki'i, a ino I ka vai ava ava, a ohe hope, e hoi mai ai. Forward, my young brothers, and drink to the bitter waters. There is no turning back. Mahalo nui loa. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard. All right, who's ready to see some tech? Woo! All right. All right, so Jacqueline is going to be our MC. We're going to go through rapid fire, as we say, with our first 6 companies. And Jacqueline, I'm going to turn this over to you to MC.
Good afternoon, everyone. So first up, we have Beamlink. Beamlink builds portable 5G networks to bring wireless anywhere.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Hi, everyone. My name is Arpad Kavesdi. I'm the co-founder and CTO of Beamlink. Just give a second for the slides to come up. Beamlink's mission is to bring wireless anywhere, and we build 5G infrastructure that can be set up in a matter of minutes. So just to give you a quick use case, in 2004, the Indian Ocean tsunami devastated many countries around the Indian Ocean and the surrounding region, leaving hundreds of thousands dead. And the US Indo-PACOM was one of the most important forces responding to this natural disaster to provide aid. And in the last 30 years, US Pacific Fleet has responded to about 30 such incidents in the Pacific. And we realized is that communications technology is absolutely critical. And the US Pacific Fleet can talk really well to the rest of the DoD, yes, the rest of the Pacific Fleet, but we have trouble sometimes communicating with our allies, and that's simply because we don't always use the most interoperable communications technology. And so the status quo is a clear need for high-speed internet access that is interoperable with our allied nations and partners. And so Beamlink has studied this problem and aims to provide essentially a portable 5G network that can be built out of small, portable, lightweight cell towers in a lunchbox we call a bento cell. And so each one can pop up a local 4G or 5G network that anyone can connect to, but is secure by design and fully encrypted. On the commercial side, before we joined the NSIN program, we were mainly focused on disaster response, disaster resiliency, and setting up networks in rural areas. But we realized the use cases for government and defense span well beyond that, helping connect Air Force bases, naval warships, our allied partners on the ground. To go a little bit over the technology, we basically have created a dashboard that you can log into to see, the location of all your bento cells, the location of all your portable cell towers. That requires no training. You don't have to be an engineer to understand how it works, and is very simple to use. And so far, our traction in the DoD space, we've had successful field experimentation at events like GIFIX, and are hoping to basically integrate more with prime contractors and do more experimentation. As it was mentioned earlier, we're very excited to be working on a pilot test in the Marshall Islands very soon. And so today we have a demonstration set up. Our booth is right over there to the left. And we've set up a couple of our prototype bento cells, and we've actually received permission from the FCC to create a local cellular network, so providing a completely independent network, completely independent from Verizon or AT&T, but one that is completely secure and private just for this facility. And so you can try connecting to the Wi-Fi portion of it by just scanning that QR code or coming by our booth later. And so throughout this program, throughout the last couple of months, our learnings have been, we've managed to create prototypes that can be rapidly deployable in about less than 5 minutes, but still use less power than a light bulb. And our future goals going forward are to expand the range of each device and the number of users that can connect to expand the use cases it can be used for. So the current prototype that we have sitting on our table right there is being certified for commercial use. And the next version that we hope to release soon that we're developing right now will have about 50% lower swap and up to 35 times the power output to get a much larger range. Our team consists of an experienced group, working for former prime contractors, working from academia and from Silicon Valley, essentially all over. And so what we're looking for going forward is we're currently raising a seed round of investment for $1.25 million. That's about a quarter of the way finished. And we're also looking for future pilot opportunities and test opportunities, as well as more R&D opportunities, especially with the DoD moving forward. So thank you very much. Is there time for questions? No? Okay.
Next up, we have Caliola. Caliola's peer-to-peer mesh VPN over key. It is designed for rapidly deployable, decentralized networks in contested and austere environments.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mike McNulty, the product director at Caliola Engineering. Wait for the slides. There we go. Perfect. All right. Our team includes Jennifer Halford, our CEO. She has 20 years of experience in the defense industry as well as software development. Tom Halford, our chief scientist, who's here today, who has over a decade of waveform design and development. Meredith Payne, our senior vice president, who has over 20 years of experience in product management as well as congressional lobbying, and then myself. So at Caliola, we built Overkey to provide secure and resilient routing across heterogeneous networks. Overkey is a mesh VPN that dynamically builds and manages a secure overlay on top of any routable network. So that's a whole lot of jargon, and I like to describe Overkey how we differentiate ourselves from traditional VPNs. The first is we're peer-to-peer. What that means is we don't need a server to facilitate secure connections between devices. The second is Overkey creates unique encryption keys for every single secure channel that you create, which means we don't have a single point of failure. And last is Overkey enables multicast across any network, even if it doesn't natively support it. So where do we envision our technology applications? The first is secure IoT communications and simplifying their network deployments. Second is securing microservices, networking. And third is device-to-device communication, envision vehicle-to-vehicle communications. All of these examples, again, leverage the peer-to-peer capabilities of Overkey. In government and defense, we envision detached network security, so situations where small subsets of networks may lose connections to a TOC or CONUS, but they can continue to communicate securely without servers running. Additionally, swarming sensor security and networking, so using Overkey to enable multi-hop backhaul to secure sensor-to-sensor communication. And then last is software-defined networking, having the ability to create software-defined enclaves without requiring distinct hardware. We envision the impact of this is reduced deployment time, so deploying communication channels in less time than traditional VPNs, reduce
Sorry about that. Next up, we have EpiSci. EpiSci's tactical AI enables the vision of hardware-enabled, software-defined, AI-controlled, and human-commanded autonomy today.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Paul Ryu from EpiSci. I'm the president and founder of EpiSci. I did have a thought about preparing a Hawaiian song, but after hearing Mr. Williams' song, obviously I made the right decision, not to prepare for that. So thank you for that, Mr. Williams. I'm thrilled to be here today and tell you about EpiSci's journey and mission of building an AI solution that is not Mike McNulty. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, sorry, Mike. Where are you? Okay, hopefully, yes, yeah. So I'm thrilled to be here today and tell you about EpiSci's journey and mission of building an AI solution that our warfighters can trust with their lives. We proudly call it tactical AI, and for the last 5 years, it has truly made our vision of hardware-enabled, software-controlled, software-defined, AI-controlled, and human-commanded autonomy closer to reality. Through our tactical AI and open architecture approach, we have a family of autonomy platforms and products that are built on close partnership with highly capable hardware vendors. You see a few here. So starting with F-16, it was done under DARPA ACE program. Air Combat Evolution is the very first time an AI had a full control of a fighter jet. There are 3 companies and a government agency who provide AI agents for that system. And what was more amazing for us was that of all the pilots, flew all agents, they overwhelmingly voted most trusted. So it was not just the performance of AI, but the trust aspect was a really big deal for our fighter pilots because they have to trust what AI is doing, for conducting their missions. So, and not only that, we have smart weapons. They need AI on the sensing, communication, and collaborations. Maritime domains, which also we have active projects on, self-driving boats, UUVs, and sensors, communications, and networks. So today you will see our 5G systems that are the basis also for bringing our AI into the controlling the system. So well, you might ask, wow, there are a lot of things that you're doing through your AI. How do you do it? I'll keep the suspense for a few more minutes, but I do want to tell you that it is not based on ChatGPT, okay? So before I talk about tactical AI, let's talk about what tactical AI is not, right? So deep learning AI is everywhere. It's everywhere. And I don't have to remind you that actually there's a growing skepticism about really whether you can really trust when it really matters, right? So sorry if you are a lover of Tesla full self-drivings and FSDs and all that. I admire you for your courage, to be honest with you. And not only that, right, they do make mistakes, right? Sometimes very, very silly manner, right? So if you can certainly fool AI by having some images and moves, that AI was not trained with. And sometimes the really smart large language models like OpenAI does not know how to do a good simple math, right? So while we are really enamored with these great models, we know for sure that they are not ready for prime time when the lives of our warfighters are on the line. Okay, so, and really, right, you might ask, after all the money they threw at, billions of dollars and all that, why is that? Well, they have a little big fundamental weakness, which is what we call the diminishing returns. So now, in order to fix the errors, right, what do? They have to have a lot of those data like that, right? Train with that to perfect your model and run with it until they find another error and another boundary conditions. And you are in this endless loop of doing that, because if you fix that, Tesla will say you can fully trust, your car and you can sleep on it. And well, unfortunately, we can't. And there's a paper that came out 2 years ago predicting that for a typical image classification accuracy, in order to get to 95%, it's not even 99, 95%, which they expect to have by 2025, the amount of CO2 you have to spend is about a entire New York City residence spitting out for about a month. So you're talking about enormous amount of computing and energy that you have to spend to get to, well, where? 95%, which is not acceptable for many of our warfighter applications. So 5 years ago, we had a Columbus egg moment. I mean, I'm sure most of you are familiar with the Columbus egg test. We had to figure out how to put an egg, right, straighten up. And we figured out how to break it so that just small enough to stand it up. And the way you do it is you bring well-known, proven techniques to put it together, including deep learning AI. As long as you know where to put it with the bound that you are imposing around it. So to make a long story short, we start with expert systems, and we start evolving that to more and more emerging AI components in it, while ensuring that the system performance and the predictability and the trust aspect is all known and bounded. So you might say, then what is our product? Well, clearly, our product is tactical AI, but obviously you cannot buy it alone. You have to buy it. It comes with your favorite platform autonomy. It could be 5G radios, it could be your drones, and all that. And actually, we see that impact through numbers, right? So it's not just the technology per se. Compared to last year, we are expecting to grow about 3 times more when it comes to new business. It's not just the autonomy platforms per se, but in EW, communications, JASC2, and collaborative weapons as well. So we are very, very, very excited about that. So, which brings me to the demo that we are doing, which is 5G. So now bringing AI into 5G is also a huge challenge, and we are taking certain steps to do so. And we'll talk more details about that with our team here. But the specific technology that we bring here for you to see in our demo is what's called a side link. So it's a device-to-device communication enabled by and defined by 5G, 3GPP community. So we have 3 devices. They all talk 5G, and we have no base station, and they can still talk to each other. So we'll see that, the behavior today. So what is our ask, and what's next? Our system is entirely based on open source, and we want to share that with the broader DoD community to actually accelerate the development and adoption and evaluation of 5G capabilities to various DoD applications. And that's number 1. And number 2, obviously we have projects and fundings that we are in need to expand that to those domains. So anyone who is interested in 5G adoption and do it in a rapid way, please come and talk to us. I could not do that, obviously, without our team, especially our 5G team, Moin, Melissa, David, Ijaz, and Ann. Thank you so much. They are our brightest people, within EPSI, doing some amazing work here. And also, I have great colleagues helping us out in the business side, including a former DARPA PM who will join us in about a couple of months. So with all that, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you in the booth.
Next up, we have Force State Communications. Force State's enhanced thermoscatter system provides beyond line-of-sight communication capabilities in SATCOM-denied environments.
All right. Hi, I'm John Edwards, CEO of Force State Communications. Force State Communications, the focus right now with the enhanced thermoscatter system is providing BLOS comms and SATCOM denied environment, but also infrastructure limited environments as well. In essence, the way that our technology works, normal HF wants to bounce off the atmosphere. It's extremely problematic and simplified, low bandwidth. You can barely talk on it. What we do is we radiate power in the upper atmosphere. That power increases the density, making it more reflective of other signals. And our bandwidth right now is about 2,000 miles from point to point because of the altitude we can get in the upper atmosphere. Technology itself for the application. So for the government side, pretty straightforward. BLOS backhaul in a denied environment. On the forward end of your send, you're looking at a potential of LPI and LPD capability as well. On the commercial sector, it's a kind of a Ricky Bobby situation for high frequency trading. If you're not first, you're last. That's kind of where we come in is bypassing places where current infrastructure is not as fast as it could potentially be. The other place that we fit to is a rural and emerging economies. So we're based in Wyoming. So one of the things we're looking at there is connecting these locations inside the state. They're about 50 to 100 miles apart because that's where all the trains had to stop to get coal and water back in the day. So right now, getting fiber optic to them is extremely painful. So it applies to both also the United States, but also emerging economies when you're looking at Africa, South America, and places in Asia. Our current customers, so we've had a lot of success with the AFWERX program and getting the SBIRs. We've had 3 phase 1s, 4 phase 2s. Right now, our current customer is AFSOC, and then a lot of success inside of Wyoming itself. So Wyoming has been very generous to us, doing matching from the Business Council, also doing within Cheyenne Leads, local development for power and land access, and then also the manufacturing works, which has allowed us to build up our base of US-based manufacturing so we don't have to reach outside for the technology that we use. For our demonstration, so we can't pick it up and move it, so it's really static right now. Come by, we can fill you into some of the details and how it actually works. So as you can see here, so this center picture is our prototype. It's one of the antennas that we have. We're really simple. We're prior Marines. So it's telephone poles, copper wire, and a lot of power. And we've got some PhDs that can talk plasma physics if that's something you want to get into. Pilot success and learning. So concurrent with this program, we were finishing one of our SBIRs. We were able to successfully do forward scatter on HF and VHF at about 700 miles. And that was with full data push. And so we can fill you in on that more if you want to come by and have more information on it. Another thing that we're looking at is taking it from being a ground station to putting in unmanned service vessels so that that way we can use the Pacific as a maneuver space itself and not be stuck to just island hopping. And then we've also had a lot of success, as mentioned earlier, of actually talking and beginning partnerships with a lot of the other members in our cohort because we see ourselves as a piece of the solution, not the end-to-end solution. I think it's going to take everybody working together to really do that full end-to-end ecosystem. So what's next? That's a lot of words. What it boils down to is starting from this year, for the next 3 years, rolling out our commercial sector offering, looking at connecting Chicago to Seattle for HFTs. Next step on that is New York to London. Next step after that is Southeast Asia. Concurrently, also going after as many DoD contracts as we can because we are patriots. Most of us are prior military. Future products is really just about swap. And so it's going to depend on what the use case is. So if it's a commercial sector use case, the footprint can be pretty big. We do what we need to do. For government, looking to tailor it and kind of get it down so that we make it more mobile. And then how this program's actually helped us out immensely. So the beauty of doing this is that we're dated. So I got out in 2015 as a Marine. And when I had someone tell me last night, when you leave, it's the last day you're relevant. And so coming into this program, we've had people tell us what they actually need today and where they need it. And that's pushed us for our product development. On top of, it's allowed us to really identify US-based logistics and manufacturing inside the United States so we can take stuff that you would normally source out of Asia, bring it home, and offer the production base so we can be sustained. And that is it. Thank you.
Thanks, John. John's also a new resident of Hawaii and looking to come visit all of you for tech interchange meetings, investor meetings, and plug into the already robust defense innovation community that's here. All right, next up is HyperKelp. HyperKelp is ocean data for the information age.
Thanks, Ryan. All right, hi everybody. I'm Costas. Yeah, let's get started. So first, before I get into what we do, I'll tell you a little bit about our team. I'll start with my co-founder, Graham. He's a Royal Navy veteran. Don't hold that against him. And he's got 30 years of experience in autonomous systems, PhD in ocean engineering, and he's a wave forecaster. I'm Costas. I'm HyperKelp's CTO and co-founder. I got my start at NASA's Space Sciences Laboratory, working on spacecraft flight hardware up at UC Berkeley. While I was there, I founded Blue Dot Underwater Drones, and I basically ran that until Graham and I co-founded HyperKelp together. We've also got a killer set of advisors, including Pat Sullivan, who was the SES3 executive director at Navwar for about 3 decades. So here's what we do. We build smart buoys that deliver any type of ocean data from any point on the ocean surface. And we do that with our fleet of Kelp smart buoys, or KSBs. The KSB you see pictured here is one we deployed for NOAA a couple years ago. We also just piloted our Sonobuoy A-size form factor with ONRG. So KSBs are a hosted payload platform, which means we are inherently dual use. On the commercial side, we support data products that cater to ship routing, environmental managers, and long period surveyors like wind farms. On the government side, which is where we spend most of our time, we host counter-hypersonic bell ringers inside of that Sonobuoy form factor. In fact, we were just announced as a selectee for this year's Navy SBIR to further develop that capability. So before I go further into the business, I do want to share with you a little on how our technology actually works. And if you want to learn more about that, come to our booth and we can get into it. But for now, what you need to know is that Kelp Smart Buoys can interface with any commonly used sensor payload. So this includes optical, infrared, radar, sonar, infrasound. And we also build interfaces for custom sensor payloads, and we've done that before for our customers at Northrop Grumman. The same computation architecture that makes that possible also lets us host AI image and signal classification engines on the buoys, which automates and speeds up threat detection on the edge. So there is, of course, a lot more technical information I could share, but the most important point I want to get across here is that every capability we build is specifically designed to protect our sailors against novel threats. Because we're a hosted payload platform, we can support counter-hypersonics, maritime counter-intrusion in places like Guam, electronic warfare, SIGINT, MASINT, and we can pivot between all of those in a matter of days. So we're always ready to support whatever the next mission may be. One more thing here, because we're Sonobuoy deployable, it means we can get those sensing layers deployed to any point on the ocean surface in a matter of hours. So this is, of course, more than just a PowerPoint. We've already served customers at ONR Global, Air Force 611th, and NOC AD. Right now, we're gearing up to serve NORAD Northcom, support DHS via our teaming agreement with Booz Allen Hamilton, and we're getting ready to execute our new Navy SBIR. So in our work to date, we've already demonstrated a couple key capabilities. Our neural net classifiers work on the edge on our buoys. We did this in Camp Lejeune with the Marines. We also did this on our own in the Mojave Desert Supersonic Highway. For our data pipeline, we've proven our ability to deliver data and contact alerts directly to real DoD common operating pictures. We've also learned a lot in comparison to other systems. We now know that our KSB lasts 750 times longer than traditional sonobuoys. We offer 4 times more reliable access to subsurface conditions over remote sensors. And because we take a launch and forget approach, they're buoys, they're easy to use, we are 1% the cost of equivalent autonomous surface vehicles. So what's next for us? Right now, we're growing our sales channels by partnering with defense primes and also landing our own contracts with the Navy. Once again, yes, we are dual use, but government is, for us, the key to scaling. The reason for that is that the Navy already has the infrastructure to deploy over 200,000 sonobuoys annually. We don't want to compete with those buoys, but we want to enhance that sensing capability with KSBs that alert on threats above the waterline. This gets the Navy reliable, non-traditional sensing capabilities across the ocean, and most importantly, it provides our sailors with the tools and the early warnings they need to outpace rapidly evolving adversaries across multiple domains at the same time. So while you're here, please come visit my booth, come talk to me, and try out our demo. We are demonstrating today we're demonstrating our maritime counter-intrusion system, and you can use it if you want to. It's hosted on one of our buoys deployed off of California right now, and we're gonna be using our ODAS dashboard to control it live from our booth. One other thing, while you're here, remember, we do want your help. We are asking the government for $1.2 million to basically do 3 things. We want to complete our sonobuoy form factor's solar powertrain. We want to finish its airworthiness certifications. And we want to carry out experimentation so we can get this capability into the warfighter's hands as soon as possible after we complete our SIBR work. And that's it for me. Thank you for listening to me talk. If you want more, go to the booth.
Thank you, HyperCalp. Great job. All right, we've got our last company before halftime, and then we're going to get you all up and engaging with the tech. So I'd like to invite up Capalia, one of our Hawaii-based companies. Capalia has AI/ML-based advanced counter ransomware solution. So one of our cyber companies. Come on up, Sudesh.
Thank you. How does we just click on this one? Okay. Aloha. My name is Sudesh Kumar. I'm the founder and CEO of Capalia. So what we're developing is an advanced counter-ransomware and malicious code detection software in partnership with the National Security Agency. The key point here is that our solution is 6 times faster than any of the other leading competitors, and that is critical, especially for our warfighters that are out there, where every millisecond, every microsecond, every nanosecond counts between life and death. So we feel that that is a very strong point in the way that we are able to detect and in real time inoculate the software or any malicious code that was injected on any asset that could interfere with our warfighters' efforts. Some of the things that we have won, we have NSF Phase 1. We were also invited to participate in the ICOPS program, which is a very 7-week intensive customer discovery program and everything else. We were invited to brief the DHS/CISA on their new initiatives against combating ransomware. The White House has just released a national security strategy for the first time in a long time. And there is one whole section dedicated just to combating ransomware, and we fit the bill right there. We are also applied for a DOE and a NSF Phase 2. And we are in discussions with Thales, which is a very large $14 billion company, for some OEM partnerships. So my story is pretty simple. I was a cyber consultant for the state government of Hawaii, and one of the tasks that I was mandated to do was to protect the 2016 presidential elections data from getting compromised. Proud to say, not calling out any names, but some states were compromised. Hawaii was not one of them, all right? So, and since during my time, that is when I got involved with the NSA, with the FBI, with the Department of Homeland Security. And that's really where my journey and my partnership with the NSA started. So we started the company 7 years ago. We were building an encryption solution. And then, the NSA came to us and said, hey, why don't you do something more advanced? And we signed a CRADA in 2021. And that's when we pivoted the company to what our product is today. So that's the reason why it looks like we're an old company, but really we are a 2-year-old company or 3-year-old company since signing that CRADA. So our team, we have a very experienced team right there, but the fact that I want to highlight is that in addition to our team, we have 2 very prestigious NSA SME subject matter experts that are part of our extended team. They are the ones who do the research. They're the ones who have been studying ransomware and malicious code for the last 7 to 10 years. They have seen everything, and they work in partnership with the FBI, with the CIA, with Department of Homeland Security, and our I-5 partners, Australia, UK, Canada, New Zealand, and so all of that intelligence is then fed back to us, and based on that, we are commercializing the product. So we are the only one that are working with the NSA on this particular technology from, which is based on a patent that we are a licensee of through a CRADA program right now. So the applications, again, we can deploy this on servers, on mobile, on endpoints, but really where it goes down to is that, we can also deploy this on IoTs and sensors, which there are so many of within the military application, and also, within drones, and also within satellites. So if you can just imagine, if a malicious code gets into one of these sensor networks, or in the drone networks, or in the satellites, that could be sending wrong messages, and then, a lot of bad things would happen, right? So where we sit in the security stack, this is just kind of a slide to show that why we are so fast is because we are loaded as kernel drivers. So we are very lightweight. Our footprint is very small. We don't consume a lot of power, and we don't consume a lot of CPU resources. Therefore, we can deploy this on IoT sensors, embed them inside that, and therefore, and at the same time, able to detect and inoculate everything in real time, which sit right before the hardware. So you have all of the other systems, they're all needed. We add another layer of protection on top of that. And again, the main advantage that we have over our competitors is the amount of time that it takes to detect and inoculate ransomware in real time, and also the fact that we are able to deploy our solution on IoT and industrial IoT devices. So some of the successes, again, what we've learned through our partnership with the NSA testing inside their labs, again, that we are at least six times faster. A common myth is that all ransomware does is it's going to encrypt your files and demand money. That is not necessarily true. It does a whole bunch of other things as well. It injects malicious code, which will then open a backdoor channel to exploit and exfiltrate your data and send it to either sell it to the dark web, or worse, as the congressman stated, that they could be selling it to the PRC, which is a very extreme, and that is a fight that we definitely need to win. Therefore, as of today, our software is able to stop all of the known malicious code injections that have been compiled by the NSA in our software today. We are able to stop all of those. We are also, the current version is able to stop more than 630 different ransomware families and their variants. And if we find a zero-day exploit, which means that it's something we haven't seen before, we immediately isolate that asset so that the ransomware does not propagate. Within seconds, ransomware can propagate very, very quickly, and it can infect so many different assets, and that will create havoc. So we are able to completely isolate that and then study that, give that back to the NSA labs. They will come back and tell us exactly what happened with this so that we can program our ML engine again and then reinsert with a new version of the software. So currently, naturally, we are working with the NSA, and with the, we'd like to work with the Navy as part of the NSIN program. The NSF has been very kind to us, and also part of the ICOPS program. We've also applied to the Army's, XCIBR, and we've also responded to a BAA from the Air Force. So as part of my demo, I will be showing you real ransomware. Now, word of caution, please don't do this at home, okay? Because if ransomware you are testing gets out from your house and starts infecting other devices, you will get a visit from the FBI. You don't want that. Trust me, you absolutely do not want that. So my demo is not going to be live. It's recorded because I do not have a closed environment where to test ransomware. It's extremely dangerous. So another disclaimer, please do not try this at home. But I will show you what ransomware does, how it infects your computer in a very small amount of time, and then I will show you that once we load our software, how quickly we're able to detect it and inoculate it all in real time. And for our road mapping, where are we? The software that I'm going to show you was developed for Windows. And this year, we will be expanding that to IoT devices and also to Mac, Linux, iOS, and Android. And in future, we will be doing for drones, satellites, unmanned vehicles, robotics, and virtual reality. So our ask is this, we already have traders, and I would like to get some more traders, with our DoD partners. The one thing that I've been told over the program is that, we need to get involved with the weapon systems ecosystem for continuous monitoring of assets. And that is something that we take very seriously. I've discussed it with the NSA. They take it very seriously also. So if any of you folks here are involved in that program, please, I would love to talk to you. And also, I would like to meet the technical SMEs so that we can develop some more customized solutions for the Army, Navy, Air Force. We're currently raising our A round. We've already raised our seed round. So to all the VCs over here, if this sounds interesting to you, please talk to me. And my objective is this. We actually maintain an office presence right here in this building. We have a virtual office right here. That's our address. And so my idea is that if we're able to get these grants, if we're able to get additional funding, I want to expand the workforce right here in Hawaii. I want to make sure that our Hawaii Ohana stays in Hawaii and they do not have to be uprooted to go to the mainland just to support their families back in Hawaii. So that is my vision. And I'm looking for all of your support to make that a reality. Thank you so much.
All right, so that does it for the first half of our cohort. So right now, we're ahead of schedule, which is great. That's a first. We're going to ask everyone to get up, go engage with the teams, see the tech, see the demos, ask the questions. We'll come back for the second half. We have 5 teams in the second half, so we'll be a little shorter. And then we will roll right into Pauhana, which will be brought to us by the Boardroom in Kailua, which is a great restaurant. So with that, let's go out and engage with all the founders. Thank you. All right. Kicking off part 2 here, I'd like to invite up Cindy from HTDC. HTDC has been our partner throughout this entire experience, connecting us with the Hawaii community, offering their space, and much more. So Cindy, over to you. We're very interested to hear about HTDC.
Hi, thanks. Thanks for having me up here. I'm Cindy Matsuki with HTDC. I'm the SBI Program Manager. The Hawaii Technology Development Corporation, HTDC, is a state agency responsible for diversifying Hawaii's economy by developing a flourishing tech industry that provides quality jobs for Hawaii residents that pay a living wage, because what is the point of being in Hawaii if you need to work 3 jobs to live here? So that's why we are pushing tech and manufacturing. HTDC aims to accelerate the growth of Hawaii's tech industry by providing capital, building infrastructure, and developing talent to foster innovation. Since HTDC started, technology has evolved and permeated facets of all industries. So we continue to innovate and create programs that are relevant to meet the changing landscape of technology by focusing on our customers. In addition to providing co-working facilities like this space, grants and services to foster the growth of local businesses, HTDC is also Hawaii's Manufacturing Extension Partner Center. And if you don't know what that is, that's a NIST program for manufacturing to reshore manufacturing in America. As Hawaii's MEP Center, we're able to leverage a national network of resources and expertise to help our manufacturing industry grow and scale in Hawaii. So we are excited to follow this NSIN Propel Hawaii cohort as they bring their innovations to market and address national security challenges. And I'm hoping that more than just one are able to move to Hawaii to take advantages of our support. So that would be great. And I'm also looking forward to working with NSIN and Ryan with Decisive Point in the future as we continue to build the path from startup to commercialization with their help. And so they've been awesome. Thank you.
Cindy's been extremely instrumental in helping a lot of the companies here in Hawaii pursue the Small Business Innovation and Research Program, which is actually very transformative for early stage startups. So thank you, Cindy, for your work on that. Next, I'd like to invite up Neil Miyake of the Hawaii Tech Bridge. Neil is also one of our foot soldiers here on the ground, but he does much more than that. He's a super connector for the companies and has also provided a lot of expertise. Neil, come on down and tell us about the Hawaii Tech Bridge.
How's it going, everybody? Looking at the slides, please. Yeah. All right, again, my name is Neil Miyake. I'm actually the business deputy of NIWC Pacific Naval Information Warfare Center, the Hawaii office here. And my side hustle is the director of the Hawaii Tech Bridge. And we'll talk about that. Okay, anyway, the Tech Bridge program kind of falls under NavalX. It's ONR is taking care of NavalX, and what NavalX tries to do is it's all about innovation and agility. Okay, like many other naval organizations, but we're trying to do things differently and do things a little bit faster. That's the intention. Thank you. Okay, so Tech Bridge program falls under NavalX, and what that is a network of nodes, of innovation nodes throughout the country and actually beyond, throughout the world. And they're trying to take advantage of these innovation areas around the world, Hawaii being one of them. So I'm the director of the Hawaii Tech Bridge, and sponsored by my, hosted actually by my office, NIWC Pacific. And so because of that, I focused the Tech Bridge on C4I, command control, computers, communications, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, cyber and space systems. But we also added resilience and energy to our portfolio of focus areas, technical focus areas. And then our HUI, our gang, consists of NIWC Pacific, of course, HTDC, and also the UH Office of Innovation and Commercialization, of which NSIN is a strong partner and collaborator within them. So that group comprises Hawaii Tech Bridge. Okay, and ultimately, just like everybody else across the line from NavalX down to Tech Bridges and the Hawaii Tech Bridge, our bottom line is to try and get capabilities to the fleet faster. Okay, let's see if this works. Oh. Okay, yeah. So the ecosystem, here we have, okay, the DoD, we have problems, we have challenges, we have things that we want to solve. Private industry over there, they got some solutions along with academia and the labs like NIWC Pacific. So what we're trying to do with the Tech Bridge program is kind of put everybody together, get that bridge across, figure out what the operational needs are, and try and solve the problem as quickly as we can. So that's the goal of the Tech Bridge. And we have great partners with HCDC, as was mentioned with Cindy, of course, the state of Hawaii. We're trying to get dual use issues so that not just the DoD can benefit, but the state can benefit in some capacity. So we're trying to do that too. And yeah, if we can get small businesses involved, especially local Hawaii businesses, I think it's a win-win all around. And finally, yeah. We discussed this, but one of the events that we had recently was the Pacific Operational S&T Conference. They had the NSIN Propel Hawaii Tech Showcase, and I thought it was a really good event. Gave the cohort of companies, great opportunity to learn about what the warfighter really needs. And then from there, the great stuff you see here is what the result is. Okay, that's all I got. Thank you.
Thanks, Neil. All right, who's ready for part? Oh, I'm always on there. I am on the screen. All right. So we're going to kick off the second half with Makai. There you go. You have to point the clicker this way towards the AV booth, just so you know. Okay, so Makai is an NHO, Native Hawaiian-owned business. Their Honu is a portable, vendor-agnostic edge compute platform that enables users to deploy a customized private cellular network and conduct data processing in remote or contested environments. So Stephanie Hutch, come on down.
All right. Aloha. My name is Stephanie Hutch. I am the president and CEO of Makai. Makai is an engineering company, and we specialize in C5ISR, data management, and network modernization. We provide professional services throughout the network stack. Our technology is the Hardened Operational Networking Unit, or HONU. HONU is a secure, portable edge compute platform that enables users to deploy a customized private cellular network in remote or congested environments. The HONU has an open and vendor-agnostic design that is plug and play and allows the government to truly own the technical baseline. Key differentiators of the HONU are that it features an open source software configuration, it features an open RAN hardware configuration, and leverages CBRS 5G, which is the unlicensed portion of the spectrum. The HONU is an all-in-one solution, and it provides access to applications, networks, and data processing in one device. It serves as a gateway to bridge networks and data processing technologies. It features many backhaul options, including CBRS 5G, Starlink, commercial SATCOM, fiber, LTE, and also features Wi-Fi and Bluetooth capabilities. The HONU has an auto-sensing firewall, meaning that we can host up to 4 WAN networks concurrently. And it is flexible, so we can tailor the uplink and downlink settings to optimize the network speeds that meet the mission set. There are internal high compute servers. This allows for data processing and the deployment of microservices via containerization methods, all within the HONU itself. The current configuration can accommodate up to about 200 user devices at the same time and can support multiple radio types, including the N48 and the N78 radios. At Makai, we serve as the integrator, pulling all of the components together and working with partners as well. We've been working with some great industry partners to date, including our fellow cohort member, Beamlink. So I'm looking forward to continuing the partnership and discussions with them. So with the HONU, the government can avoid vendor lock. For example, Dell and HP have similar integrated networking solutions. However, you are locked into that company's technology suite. With HONU, you can truly plug and play different components to build the solutions that are best tailored for the needs. This is a diagram of the internal components of the HONU, and you can see the numerous ports and connections that I previously mentioned. It was designed to be secure. So traffic coming through the HONU is firewalled. Multiple firewalls can be installed to compartmentalize network usage, and it's also monitored so we can see who's accessing the network and when. In order to access the HONU's network, SIM cards or eSIMs need to be pre-configured. And there is an inherent tiered user access control, which means we can manage that directly on the device or remotely via a VPN overlay. SIMs can be killed or shut off remotely if the devices become compromised for any reason. So with the current HONU configuration and the CBRS 5G radio, we get about a 1-mile radius of a private bubble. Of course, this depends on landscape and other obstacles that could be in the way. And we are able to deploy additional HONUs to create overlapping private bubbles, or we can deploy repeaters to expand the radius of the bubble itself. The HONU is truly a dual-use technology. It has many commercial and DoD use cases. On the commercial side, use cases include emergency response, smart warehousing, monitoring of critical infrastructure sites like dams and fuel pipelines, things like that. On the government side, the HONU can be used for continuous monitoring of secure areas like launch sites or perimeter defense, force protection. It's also a great option for users operating in remote areas or congested environments where the deployment and use of a secure private network would be mission critical. You can see in this picture that the HONU provides services throughout the network stack, from the network foundational layer all the way up through the software application layer. The HONU itself can serve as a network host for other vendors and integrate into pre-existing network architectures, or it can stand alone as one consolidated networking and data processing solution. We have been working with the DoD to date. We've worked with Army DevCom to develop numerous prototypes over the last 2.5 years. This picture on the right was taken from our lab next to Hanscom Air Force Base in Massachusetts. During this demo, we demonstrated the deployment of the ATAC application over our private network. And these pictures were taken from a camera that was mounted to a robot dog. We currently have a prime contract through AFRL to support NC3 nuclear community to develop and deploy our ORAN compliant HONU configuration. So ORAN or Open RAN will allow us to work with any radio and plug it into any network. And we believe that moving away from a vendor-specific RAN not only enables more flexibility for the operators, but it minimizes that secret sauce that leaves users reliant on a single vendor for all aspects of RAN management, implementation, optimization, et cetera. So in the Indo-PACOM region, we're looking to have discussions with Army Pacific, Marine Corps, 3rd MLR, Navy as well, any users in the community that could benefit from the HONU's capabilities. January of this year, we executed a pilot for Army DevCom. So in this particular test, it involved using the HONU as the base station to host a tethered variable height antenna. The pictures show the diagram of the test that was conducted and pictures from the test event itself. Through this exercise, we demonstrated the deployment of advanced comms, so CBRS, 5G, and Starlink at the same time, and the ability to process, exploit, disseminate data by using the ATAC application and telemetry scanning tools all over the HONU's private network. You can see some of the quantifiable metrics that we achieved in this exercise. For example, a 20x improvement on the Army's network capabilities over the currently fielded applications. So Army was really happy about that. We also tested and validated VHA swap factors, and all of this was captured in a final report that we delivered to DevCom. Okay, so what's next for Makai and the HONU? We're currently working on deploying our ORAN compliant configuration. This will be launched in the next 2 or 3 months. We just launched the baby HONU, or the Keiki HONU, and this is about half the size of the current configuration. So right now, the HONU weighs about 100 pounds. This newer, smaller version weighs about 50 pounds, and it has the same processing capabilities. We still have more tests to do on the baby HONU, but we expect that this version will be more durable than the current configuration, and it will be more environmentally tolerant because we're using an industrial server and switches that can handle hotter outside temperatures. So in the future, we'll continue to mature and refine the HONU's capabilities, increasing the processing power, decreasing the size and form factor, and deploying more microservices directly onto the HONU. Okay, so in conclusion, there are 3 primary reasons why you should be excited about Makai and the HONU. So the first one is the HONU is open in all aspects. So on the software side, we leverage open source software, hardware, open RAN configuration, network, unlicensed CBRS, 5G portion of the spectrum. This open design allows the government to own the technical baseline and really dictate specifically which vendor components get integrated into that version of the HONU. There's no vendor lock, which means that your solution will be cheaper, more flexible, and gives the government more control. Second, we're actively working to reduce the swap factors. So I mentioned going from the big HONU down to the baby HONU that's 50 pounds. It's a big baby, but it's okay. And we're currently working on a design for a backpack size as well. And finally, with Makai, we know how to work with the DoD. Our key personnel have over 30 years of experience working with DoD customers, We are a Hawaiian 8A company, so we have a rapid acquisition vehicle available. And we have a top secret facility clearance, so we can work on projects at the highest classification levels. My ask for the government is the opportunity to support future demos and participate in exercises. And also, please provide feedback. As we're going through our R&D development, we want to tailor the HONU to meet the DoD priorities, but we need to know what those priorities are. So that concludes my pitch. I'll be over in the corner near the front door if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Baby HONU coming to GSA schedule near you. All right, next up, I'd like to invite MEM Computing, bringing breakthrough computing performance to all. Come on up, MEM.
Thank you. Hey guys, good afternoon. My name is John Aiken, and I am the marketing lead here at MEM Computing. And we are building a new compute architecture that overcomes the limitations of classical computing when solving complex workloads in big data analytics, optimization, and AI. And so this is a very unique and proprietary circuit design that leverages computational memory to ultimately deliver the performance expected of quantum computing today. I don't know if we have our slides up. Bear with us. Awesome. Next slide, please. I am the slide master. Brilliant. So our first solution we went to market with in 2019 is what we call our MEM CPU platform. And this leverages a software emulation of our circuit design running in the cloud to tackle complex logistics-based optimization problems. So it acts as a decision support tool when solving very large routing, scheduling, and forecasting applications, and does so orders of magnitude faster and with far more precision and speed than best-in-class technologies. So for example, with Lockheed Martin, we worked with them on a solution that optimized the motion planning associated with a swarm of autonomous drones, such that they don't collide with each other or their environment and reach their destination as safely as possible. We've worked with a number of the largest oil and gas companies like BP, Chevron, and INEOS on scheduling large crude carriers and ships delivering fuel in bulk to offshore platforms in the Gulf of Mexico. And all of these applications demonstrated a dramatic reduction in the number of ships or vehicles needed to deliver the same amount of cargo, and also reduced the carbon emission associated with those applications. The end result is millions of dollars in cost savings just due to improved operational efficiencies and a dramatic reduction in carbon emissions as well. A cool application we worked on with Airbus was a quantum computing challenge that they had in 2019. They were looking to optimize the cargo loading onto their aircraft, and that's a very difficult computational challenge for them. We were able to do so at scale in minutes. So with the DoD, we've had a lot of success working with the US Air Force, Space Force, and NASA. We've had a total of 8 SBIR awards. We've also been awarded a Advanced Battle Management System contract to support the JADC2 strategy with the US Air Force. With NASA, we worked on a problem with them to optimize and accelerate the job scheduling amongst their supercomputing clusters. With the Air Force, we were just awarded a phase 1 in the last round related to a contested logistics problem that was related to an airdrop mission scheduling problem that they face. There's a total of 3 phase 2s that we're actually wrapping up as we speak. 2 of them I'll touch on related to satellite applications in the next slide. But I really wanted to highlight the third one, which is a specialized cryptology solution that has serious national security implications. If you'd like to learn more about that, we have our booth in the back. We'd be happy to talk to you about. So these are 2 simulations representing 2 separate phase 2 SBIRs with the Space Force. On the left, you'll see a model representing thousands of proliferated LEO-based satellites tracking hypersonic missiles through the atmosphere. And also, we delivered an optimized communication network amongst the satellites so that they can downlink that information to the warfighter as efficiently as possible. On the right is a different solution. It actually optimizes the motion planning of a satellite with a robotic arm to capture another tumbling object in space. And these are things that they don't have today, and we're looking to automate for them. So for Demo Day, we really wanted to highlight a specific application related to the Navy. in a contested logistics environment. So we worked with them to develop a 2-week schedule that was related to scheduling C-40s and C-130s at scale. These planes were looking to carry thousands of pieces of cargo and personnel around the world. This is a problem that they can't solve at scale in an optimal fashion. It's computationally intractable. And so what they do is they use approximations or heuristics using spreadsheets. It's a manual process that takes hours, days, or weeks to build. Instead, we were able to tackle the full problem at scale and delivered a full 2-week optimization or schedule in less than 2 minutes. This got everyone and everything to their destination as efficiently as possible, which reduced the number of flight legs that were required, and we estimate a 10 to 40% reduction in the amount of fuel, which should represent millions of dollars of cost savings for the warfighter. But what's really important to note here is that this gives the warfighter the ability to rapidly reschedule their fleets of any size at scale in near real time. So if a plane or a vehicle needs maintenance or there's bad weather that you need to reroute your fleet around, instead of relying on Excel spreadsheets and people that take hours or days to solve, you can simply upload the new data representing your current scenario into our system, and it will spit out an optimal solution in seconds. And so this should improve the resiliency and the flexibility to outmaneuver our enemy. So what's next for MEM computing? We have this software emulation of our chip that's already tackling some serious problems, but the ultimate realization of this technology is in silicon. So we're looking to build chips in hardware. We have a number of designs ready to rock and roll. We just need the funding to do so. And that's part of my ask I'll get to in a second. But we have a MEM CPU, which is a dedicated chip for optimization in real time. We have our MEM GPU for graphics processing. We're building the first neural network on a chip for AI applications. And we have a 5G chip to accelerate and achieve 5G at scale. And so we envision seeing these across edge devices, wearables, satellites, planes, ships, jets, you name it, delivering the next generation of compute performance at the speed and the power and the size requirements of both our DoD and commercial partners. And so our ask, this is the team, we're small, we're only 7 guys strong, but we're delivering serious value with our technology. And we're from San Diego, and we haven't gotten our foot in the door with the Navy yet, but have success with the Air Force and have demonstrated the value and the power of our virtual solution. So we'd love to speak to the J4 or N4 community in the Navy. We know that there's a phase 1 open phase 1 topic coming out for SIBRs next month. So we'd love to introduce or build relationships with you guys and have those conversations related to contested logistics applications. But also from a funding perspective, we need the money to build this stuff in hardware, and that's where the real national security implications come into play. And we'd love to build that capability for the warfighter. So if you have any questions or want to talk more about the technology, we'll be in our booth. We're in the back. And I appreciate all your time. Mahalo.
All right, next up, I would like to invite Q-Secure. Q-Secure's Q-Protect gives warfighters the quantum resilient protection, assurance, and confidence they need to be ready for cybersecurity threats today and tomorrow. Over to you, Patrick.
Great. Thank you, Ryan.
Oh, and there's a clicker. You got to kind of point it that way, I think.
Point it this way? Okay. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. I'm Patrick Shore. I'm a program manager with our federal ops team at Q-Secure, and I'm here to talk to you today about post-quantum encryption and our product, Q-Protect. Q-Protect is a rapidly deployable cryptography orchestration platform that brings post-quantum resilience out to the edge. What does that mean? What that means is better encryption, better keys, better cryptography management, all compatible with your existing legacy IT infrastructure. Our primary mission is to save warfighter lives by providing persistent, resilient communications for data and transit for decades to come. These communications are currently at risk with quantum computing. Our adversaries are moving quickly, and that's why we're seeing rapid adoption across the federal government and in the commercial space as well. Our product is ready to go today and ready for your use in the field. Quantum computing. Quantum computing is going to be useful for all sorts of things, as we just heard. Logistics optimization, financial portfolio optimization, drug development. The very first thing that this technology is going to be used for is to attack our encryption and our digital infrastructure. The NSA has known this for quite some time, probably since 1994 when Shor came out with Shor's algorithm, and they tasked NIST with finding alternatives to public key infrastructure and asymmetric encryption in 2015. They've narrowed down those alternatives to a list of about 4 or 5, and our solution incorporates all of those algorithms into a crypto agile solution so you can swap them in and out, so when those standards come out, you'll be prepared. Unfortunately, it's not a question of if quantum computing will break encryption, but a question of when. Most experts believe that a quantum computer will be able to break RSA encryption within the next 5 to 10 years. So we've seen, as a result, a lot of traction from the federal government, from executive orders to congressional memos, putting funding, requirements, and mandates to transition to quantum-safe security. Our job is to make your lives easier and provide the easy button to meet those requirements. Get a solution in place now, and let's mature in place so that we can tailor your solution to meet your needs. To be perfectly clear, we are not building a quantum computer. What we do is not quantum. This is post-quantum cryptography and advanced encryption. Basically, we're providing your old legacy capability, your legacy IT, with new capabilities so that you can keep working with the stuff that you know and you use today and keep it secure for decades to come, regardless of when a quantum computer can break cryptography or not. We provide all sorts of great capabilities, from quantum source entropy to quantum resilient encryption, crypto agility, advanced monitoring and attack remediation. All this comes down to is better cybersecurity for a better future, and we're ready to use today. We've got a lot of traction in the DoD and in the commercial space as well. We're post-revenue and have done use cases and provided for customers in both. That picture in the upper right, that's from the first task order that we executed for our Phase 3 SBIR. That was the first demonstration ever of post-quantum communications for the federal government, and that was earlier this year. At the bottom right, that's for ongoing work that we're doing with the 15th MU, along with our partners at AWS, to push post-quantum encryption out to the edge. We also have a variety of near-term work coming up, including our Phase 2 SBIR with the U.S. Army ASALT. That will be for the Android software development toolkit in order to get this technology out into devices that our warfighters are actually using in the field. Most importantly, I'd like to point out the partners that we're working with: Accenture, Dell, AWS, Arrow Imix, and Red Hat. These are some of the biggest players in the industry, and as a small company, it's imperative that we use them to scale. And we have become the trusted post-quantum provider for all of these folks. Recently, we completed a degraded information limited laboratory experiment with AWS and their team out in Crystal Springs. That served as the technology validation for us to get through the accelerated partner program and become an official vendor for AWS for post-quantum. As of today, we got news that they've also put us into our public partnership program. What does that mean? That means that we now have the opportunity to get an authority to operate within the next 6 months, which is huge for us. That's taking us from where we are now with our interim authority to test, which will be used on our next task order of our Phase 3 at Impact Level 4, and taking it up to Impact Level 5 and beyond. The demo and use case I'd like to talk to you today about is also a first. On Valentine's Day of this year at 9:52 Mountain Time in Colorado, we were able to demonstrate the first use of post-quantum communications up to a Starlink satellite communications. We didn't stop there. A week later, we did that same demonstration with Intelsat to a geosatellite. And then if that wasn't good enough, 4 days after that, we partnered with Accenture and we did a combined multi-orbit demonstration with failover, improving redundancy from LEO to GEO. That was over Starlink and Intelsat for the GeoSat. The demonstrations went exceptionally well with minimal latency times, well within the margins of what you would expect with a typical TLS to a satellite link. And this is really just the tip of the iceberg for us. What we need your help to do is to get this technology into the hands of our warfighters, operationalize the payloads, and get it tested and matured in place so that we can meet all of your needs in a rapid way. What's next? So next year, NIST will be finalizing their post-quantum cryptography algorithms. And when they do, we will have already tested, used, and developed all of those algorithms, hopefully in the field, and so we'll be ready to fulfill those requirements before they even come out. The future of the product is happening now, as I just mentioned. We're working through those compliance steps, and we're well on our way to get that ATO by the end of the year so that we can meet your needs, whether it's all the way out to the edge or inside of your environment, behind a firewall at the high classification levels. How you use the technology is really up to you, but please, whether it's enterprise or tactical edge or out to space or on a Navy ship, it's an incredibly versatile product that leverages all of your existing assets, but we need your help to get it there and operationalize the product. So please reach out. The product is ready for purchase. We have a variety of funding mechanisms that can help you get a project started and help your organization on the journey to a quantum safe future. We have one of the best teams in the industry with decades of experience in Silicon Valley and across defense. We also have a classified team as well with TS-SCIs, so we're able to have those conversations and meet your needs there as well. Indo-PACOM covers 50% of the Earth. A lot of this is denied, degraded, austere environments. We understand that. We want to get this solution into our warfighter hands as fast as possible so that they can use it, beat it up, test it, and we can improve it and help improve the lives of our warfighters. Thank you.
Great job, Q-Secure. I also want to highlight one differentiator for this program is really how the companies partner together. So Q-Secure and HyperKelp teamed up together to get what's called a phase 3 SBIR. And everyone, you know, there's a thought out there that, oh, companies, SBIRs. But the truth is, once they can get to what's called the phase 3 SBIR, it really can be formatted in an other transaction authority agreement. It's quite flexible. It can be used for R&D all the way through production. So one thing we like to see in Propel is companies teaming together and leveraging the contracts that they have. So next up, I would like to invite C-Trek. C-Trek's Infinity buoy enables long endurance and persistent mission to provide 24/7 intelligence underwater. Yi. Over to you. Dr. Chow, sorry.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me okay in the back? All right. So go like this. All right. Thank you. My name is Yi Chow, founder and CEO of C-Trek. 3 months ago, we launched our commercial product, Infinity Buoy. I brought a full-size unit right there. Feel free to come in and same height as myself. About the same time, we are really pleased to be selected part of this wonderful Propel Hawaii programs. At the opening virtual session, Mr. Richard Williams gave us such an inspiring speech, even though he's not allowed to share on the camera. But I thank him again today, give us, reiterate all those challenging missions and the requirements on the Pacific Fleet. So we'll talk some of these requirements today, and especially those requirements not completely met by today's technology. So today I will focus on one specific requirement in underwater, persistent detection and tracking of submarines in surface denied areas. As you know, if you know roughly where the submarines are, you can deploy sonobuoys. So the kind of a dozen sonobuoys will pinpoint exactly where those submarines are. But as you know, Pacific Fleet encompasses 100 million square miles, an area many size of a continental US. If you don't know exactly where those submarines are, where do you start? We only have a limited amount of sonobuoys to put in the water. So Sea-Track brings a solution, the infinity buoy, powered by the ocean. That's a major differentiator rather than powered by batteries with limited lifetime. So our buoy can be sent anywhere between the surface to 1,000 meters to carry out the mission underwater in subsea and come to the surface, report the data, information, intelligence back to satellite for further decision making. We can carry many sensors to meet the Navy requirements. And the best of all is the buoy is self-powered by the ocean. Infinite thermal energy to enable long endurance, persistence missions. So this technology is patented. The technology I developed back in the NASA Jet Propulsion Lab at Caltech. We harvest the energy from ocean temperature difference. So if you stop my booth, I will show you how exactly we use phase change materials to convert the temperature difference in the ocean into a volume expansion. So generate pressure, spin the motor, create electricity, recharge the battery. So you'll never be able to lose your power again, just as what we described in 2011 patent. We are doing a pilot study with Naval Postgraduate School to integrate a passive acoustic hydrophone onto the buoy. We can park the buoy anywhere between the surface 1,000 meters. You can carry a listening mission to listening what's out there. And then once you detect some interesting target, you can trigger the data processing mission. So while you do the processing, we have a dedicated Linux computer, so it can process the data, the buoy move up and down to harvest energy, recharge the battery, recover the energy you lost in the previous mission, come to the surface, report the data back to the command center. Only a fraction of the data collected by the hydrophones. So that information will tell us, oh, here's the area is interesting, drop 10 sonobuoys and tell me exactly where those submarines are. You can operate our buoy in any one of these three modes. In the passive drifting modes, I did a computer simulation. If you deploy this buoy in the Taiwan Strait, 12 months later, it's going to end up coast of Japan. Another case I simulated in the middle of the South China Sea, for example, 12 months later, is going south along the coast of Vietnam. If you want to actively steer our buoy, you can always looking for the subsurface countercurrent. You go below the surface, find the depths where the buoy can be drifted in the direction you like, and then to reach your target destination. Or you can apply a fixed anchoring, so you're going to stay the buoy in the Taiwan Strait permanently. We can do that, just a mooring anchor on the sea floor. There are commercial opportunities. If we put active acoustic sonars on the bottom of our buoy, we can measure the depth of the ocean or mapping the seabed. As you can see this map, only 25% of the seabed is charted. So there's a lot of areas in empty as large as Wyoming. No ship ever crossed, so we have no clue how top those seawall are, what shape of the features are. And that's precisely those are the areas the ship is really difficult to go. And that's where we deploy 1,000 of these buoys. We hope to create the first Google map of the seabed, a multi-billion-dollar opportunity. Navy have requirements also to map those uncharted seamounts for safety navigation for their submarines. It has been a long journey for us to get where we are. Started with a PhD oceanography in Princeton. Spent 25 years working at the NASA Jet Propulsion Lab at Caltech. Our core technology is developed when I work at JPL, funded by the Office of Naval Research. Sea-Track kind of spun off from Caltech 2016. Over the last couple of years, we have been continuously developing, refining our product. Finally, when we launched our product 3 months ago, we have about $1 million sales. The journey is far from over. So to help us to cross the valley of death, I'm asking you in the near term, we are closing a $2 million bridge round last year and this year. We're still looking for a little bit less than $500,000 using convertible notes. So let me know if you're interested. And we are planning to raise Series A next year. We want to add some of you to a strategic investors list. More importantly, we want to find partners to help us to transition from kind of ONR-funded R&D to more experimentation. This program is wonderful to help us to work with the Writers Program, and work with Naval Oceanographic Office, and ultimately to help to support the Pacific Fleet operation. So just in summary, our buoy can detecting sound, marine mammals, submarines. We can map the seabed to create the first Google map of the seafloor, and then to help many of the commercial applications measure temperature, salinity, monitor climate change, chemistry, nitrate, pH, oxygen, to understand the health of the ocean. Our buoy can also use to quantify the impact of offshore operations like shipping. You know, last thing you want to see is the whale being hit by the ships. If we can listen, create the dashboard on every shipping vessels where it saves the whales, and also quantify the oil gas industry operation by knowing three-dimensional structure of the velocity, not damaging the dedicated drilling systems. And also help offshore aquaculture, offshore wind farms, and then we don't want to create renewable energy and then kill all the ecosystem and the marine mammals. So that's where we all can help. Together we can build this blue economy in the safe, healthy, and the sustainable way. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Chow. Dr. Chow explained to me that really you can steer the Infinity buoy just like a hot air balloon, but underwater, which I thought was really fascinating. So next up, I would like to invite Turbine One. Turbine One's frontline perception system automates threat recognition for the warfighter. Come on up, Turbine One.
Thanks, Ryan. Many of you don't know this, but Ryan and I recently reconnected through NSIN. We were shipmates together on the USS Carl Vinson Strike Group a few years ago for a pretty famous deployment or two, right? So it's great to be here. I want to say first thanks to the NSIN team for setting up an awesome event, and to all of our counterparts participating today. My name's Ed Padinsky. I'm a principal at Turbine One, which is a post-seed startup company based out of San Francisco. With a footprint across the United States, engineers all over the place. What we're focused on doing is transforming how the national security space, starting with DoD, gains competitive advantage by deploying machine learning at the edge in the hands of users. We're going to do this by allowing them, and we have a couple asks at the end, similar to some other companies. We need more data. We need more access to exercises and testing and evaluation events. We love going forward. We had a team just come back from the Philippines, and we're building the product that way. It's always in beta in some ways, and we're really excited about what we're doing. To me, to echo Mr. Williams' comments earlier about what the fleet priorities are, this is about the COP, this is about the Common Intel Picture, and this is about persistent targeting. Cool. So a couple things. First off, a little bit about our team. A couple stats to throw at you. I think probably similar to some other companies, really exciting ones. We have 140 years or so of software engineering experience, machine learning, AI, and a lot of mesh network work. We combine that with about 70 years or so of military and national security experience, about half of that either in the Intel community or in the special operations community, but we do have every service represented at Turbine One. Our two founders, Ian and Matt. Ian started out as a Navy officer, he's a nuke, and transitioned into the VC world, investment banking, and a couple other things, but he ended up as the CTO for the US Department of Commerce. He's been a procurement officer, he's been an acquisitions guy, certainly highly energetic, and combined with Matt, his partner in crime. Matt was the head of applied R&D at Google and has a lot of experience as well. So on top of that, we have about 160, as of this morning, 166 patents. So it's a pretty exciting team to work with. One of the advisors we added last year is General Scott Howell, former commander of JSOC and my old boss at one point. And about me, Navy captain, retired. I spent most of my career on aircraft carriers on the front end, a little bit of time in the White House Situation Room on 9/11, and then after that, got into the special operations community, ultimately commanding 2 units at JSOC, rounding out in Coronado, where I'm based now, with the SEAL teams for about 4 years. And then I jumped ship and went to the Strategic Capabilities Office, helped build another startup in the public safety space, and ended up at Turbine One on this awesome mission with this team. Okay, so what problem are we trying to solve? As I described earlier, trying to put machine learning in the hands of users that have no coding experience and that have maybe in a comms contested or comms denied environment. Everybody knows every operator, just by the volume of data we face, can become rapidly overwhelmed. Whether that is in a headquarters and a centralized analytic capability, to a decision maker at headquarters, all the way down to the very tactical edge, like my buddies from SEAL Delivery Vehicle Team 1 that are here and know this mission really well, can become saturated with data. So how do you solve that problem? We call it the frontline perception system. Others in the community may call it automated target recognition. What we do is we take agnostically any sensor data that's available. We integrate that in a way that enables a model to be built against it using a set of other models, which my colleague Sam is certainly willing to present. We're back in the corner here. We'll come show you how to do it and let you run on the system a little bit. Take it, do some very basic labeling, and then you can set alerts such that whatever system you're using, whether it's a system of record or even a smartwatch, which we've demonstrated, you can set up alerts to the data that matters most to you, whether that's a threat, a target, or whatever. So as I said, 3-step process. We think in terms of 3s. It's a pretty successful model from what we've seen so far, and we'll talk about some of our existing customers. Agnostically taking any sensor feed. We're most mature right now on full motion video, working on satellite imagery to include commercial satellites, also looking at SIGINT, ELINT, and we've also experimented a bit with some customers with open source data, primarily video and imagery data as well. You build your own detectors. We'll show you how to do it, and it runs on ATAC, and it runs on just about any system we have. And the other night in my hotel room, I built a model just for fun using this. We take that, put it in the frontline system, and then deploy it in a way that provides alerts, again, to any system of choice for the user. Current customers that we've worked with and are currently working with. First, multi-domain task force, some really exciting movement there as those elements get involved in truly multi-domain operations to include the maritime environment. The ISR task force, AFSOC, and I'll talk about a SBIR use case here in a second, and then USARPAC. Current DoD interest is across the board. Have some partners here. Kurt, it's great to meet you from NIWC PAC. FOD is a threat too to aircraft, right? And so the frontline perception being used, you can see some of our videos on how we're playing with FOD Dog, the system that we've are working with NIWC PAC in particular. So customer feedback matters to us. I'm not going to read all of it to you, but it's pretty powerful. And we continue to collect, and that's one of our asks as well. As we deploy either in a training environment, testing environment, or operationally, the feedback really matters. Again, systems in beta, always will be in beta until it's perfect. The feedback really matters. Okay, so what's next for us? The asks are, number one, our sweet spot right now is for funded exercise and training events. We've done those. I just did one with one of my colleagues in Yuma, Arizona with Army Aviation. Always looking for those opportunities, and we have bags and ready to travel and ingest data and kind of run through the system. Training quality data is always of high value. Really appreciate the connections, Ryan, with all the the companies here. We already have some partnerships in play now to take some of the data being collected by other sensors and run it through our system to see if we can partner in a way that really creates value for the customer. And then the last piece is ATO support. We have an IATT. ATOs, as everybody knows here, can be a long pole in the tent. And so we're in the process of working a full-up ATO and then migrating to other domains. Every customer we've had asking when we're going to be on SIPR and JWICs, and we're working towards that now. Again, I just want to say thanks and mahalo to the NSIN team. Again, Sam and I will be back in the corner here if anybody would like to see the frontline perception system in action and have some fun with it. Thank you again.
Thanks, Ed. Good times on Carl Vinson. All right. Well, that concludes our presentations from the companies. As we close out, you might be asking yourself, well, what are the desired outcomes here? How do you measure acceleration? And the truth is that it's different for each company. For some companies, it might be using the program to access trusted venture capital. For others, it might be that new partner, that new pilot effort. And for others, it might be working with them to get their ATO completed, right? So there's different ways to measure acceleration and different outcomes that we look at and meet each company where they're at in their journey. Also, if you watching the presentations, if you have thought about, okay, I should introduce this company to this person, go up to the booth and make that connection. Don't hold back. If you've got an idea to share about a use case, you want to learn more, or you have an intro you can make, we ask that you please take action on that. So I would also like to invite Captain Andre Wilson up to do 50 push-ups. Is that right? Captain Wilson is at Pac Fleet. He's a mentor to sailors, to the community, and also to the founders in this program. And he's going to close us out with some wisdom.
No wisdom, only push-ups. I think first is thank you. As we've probably talked about for the last 6 months, it's all about the sense of urgency. And right now, DoD, we're working hard, but for us to prevail in the coming years, we need your help. So first off, thank you for all the hard work. And specifically, the 12 companies that we selected and founders, we're here to kind of help you continue to mature, understand what the warfighting needs are, and help you kind of get this technology into the hands of people that will need it in the future. And with that said, as we continue to move forward, just think about, we're only as strong as we are as a team. And so keep the team mindset, so strength and partnership. And so here to help, here to do 50 push-ups. And you guys have an outstanding day in Hawaii. Aloha.
All right, that concludes our demo day. I invite everyone to please join us for Pauhana, brought to you by the boardroom in Kailua, a local business here on the island. And thank you very much.